on For Women Scotland, the Supreme Court ruling.
My Lords, we on these benches warmly welcome the Supreme Court's ruling and congratulate For Women Scotland and the many others who have tirelessly campaigned on this issue despite suffering abuse and threats at the hands of activists. I know noble lords across the House will agree there is no place for threats and abuse in public discourse. I would also like to take the opportunity to thank the lesbian groups who came together as the lesbian interveners for the For Women Scotland case. These included the LGB Alliance, the Lesbian Project and the Scottish Lesbians. Many people, including many within the Conservative Party, have acted to protect the rights of women and girls at great personal cost. In government, we rejected Labour's calls to introduce self-identification and ordered police sources to stop recording offences by trans women in female crime statistics. We welcome the clarity that this Supreme Court judgment has given. This ruling is an important step forward for women and girls. We on the Conservative benches have always known what a woman is, yet we regret that something as simple as biological sex has become so politicised. The Supreme Court ruling is a powerful victory for the many determined women who stood up for what they believe in and for those across the UK who recognise the importance of protecting women and girls' privacy and dignity. But, my Lords, we must acknowledge that this ruling follows years of struggle. It is only now that the Labour Party have listened. This judgment was a vital affirmation of the rights of women and girls to access single-sex spaces and have those rights protected. Biological sex matters in sports, in our prisons, in our hospitals and in our changing rooms. Unfortunately, women have had to struggle with the NHS, their employers and other organisations, ultimately through the courts, in order to protect their privacy and dignity. We hope that this ruling will safeguard the rights of women and girls, protect their dignity, ensuring fairness and preventing harm. But, my Lords, this ruling is just the beginning. We must now ensure policy reflects this clarity, strengthening protections for single-sex spaces, safeguarding women's sports and ensuring our institutions are not clouded by ideology. To conclude, we are grateful for the Supreme Court judgment and we once again thank For Women Scotland for their work in securing this ruling. However, I look to the noble lady, the Minister, to provide further explanation as to the steps the government will take to uphold this ruling. Will the noble lady, the Minister, ensure that the Equality and Human Rights Commission will be supported by the government in its enforcement of the Code of Practice? I have a few questions for the noble Baroness, the Minister. She won't be surprised at that. So if you can't answer them all, have a go. But if you can't answer them all, please write to us. Will the government publish relationships, sex and health education guidance which would stop schools from teaching gender ideology as fact? How will they ensure schools comply with the ruling? Similarly, can the noble lady, the Minister, confirm how the government will ensure that all public services are fully compliant with this ruling? Will the noble Baroness, the Minister, ensure that the police now update all their policies upon this judgment that bears particular the accurate reporting of male crimes and statistics and women's right to be dealt with by female police officers, particularly in the event of strip search? Digital verification services enabled by the Data Bill run the risk of reintroducing gender self-ID if they do not contain a requirement for accurate sex reporting. Will the noble lady, the Minister, ensure that this is acted upon? And finally, you'll be pleased to know, will the noble Baroness, the Minister, confirm that people will be cared for on the hospital wards which are appropriate to their biological sex? I hope that the noble lady the Minister will carefully consider the implications of this judgment, and that her government will look to do the right thing in securing the rights and safety of women and girls.